All right. Well, welcome everybody to the Full-Time Coach Project content call number 15. And this is part two of the traffic course, how to attract your seekers online. Just like the last one, um, part one, these concepts are pretty extensive trainings. If you wanted to go a deep dive into probably every single bullet that I have, is, an hour or 5 hours or 5 days worth of material if you go really, really deep. But my intention here is that you have a general conceptual understanding of some of the things you can do online to get people coming to your sites, obviously to attract your seekers on site, specifically your seekers to your websites. And so again, this is just going to be a high level discussion. If you do have questions, you can certainly answer or ask them as we go along. Let me open up that function here on the website, on the webinar dashboard. All right. So in part one, let's just get a quick catch up of what we talked about in part one. We talked about how to set up your squeeze page, what it should look like, the different features of it, and so forth. We talked about how to actually capture the names and the email addresses, the software programs that you can use, and how it all works. And then we also talked about what do you do once you get people into your community? How do you engage with them, give them content, and so forth, and create that loyalty? Well, in today's section, we're going to talk about what you do after you have those squeeze pages or other opt-in pages like your websites and stuff. When you have those ready to go, now what do you do? Now it's time to actually get people coming to you, right? So that's the whole basis of this piece, is getting targeted people to your site, targeted traffic. I just got a comment that said, Doug, you can't hear me. Can everybody else raise your hand if you can hear me? Just want to check to see if. Okay, so the other people can hear me, Doug, so it must be something on your end. I apologize. Hopefully we can figure that out. So back to traffic. Here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to cover 5 things. We're going to cover social media, what you can do on the social media networks. We're going to cover content marketing, specifically articles and videos. We're going to talk a little bit about search engine optimization, typically referred to as SEO. We will talk about paid traffic using Google and Facebook. And we'll also talk about joint ventures and affiliates. So let's just get right in here. Social media, I did an entire call on social media before, so I'm not going to go through a lot of those things that I already went through, but just to show you how this fits into this part of the equation, first of all, it's a great way to get traffic to your sites. And it's really simple. Basically, when you put a blog post up or when you put anything up that you want people to go to, you give a little blurb and include the link to your content. Now, if you remember from the social media training, the more in-depth training, it's really important that you give a lot of value to people, that you engage with them first before you just start selling them things and sending them to your web pages and so forth. But once you've created that kind of connection with them, and they know that you give a lot of value and you're always supporting and you're engaging and all that, then they will gladly click on the links that you send. But if you don't do that, then this won't be a great way to drive traffic, because people will just see you as, like a spammer, basically. They'll just see you as somebody who is coming on to the networks and just trying to get, people to buy their stuff or get people to read your articles and so forth. But once you have that connection, it's a fantastic way to drive traffic to your sites, whether it's blog posts, your squeeze pages, opt-in pages, articles, videos. I'll usually say something like, hey, I just put this video up on my blog. It's about blank, So you give them a little bit of a blurb, tell them what they're going to get, and then include the link to your content. And it's just a fantastic way to get people talking and, just get exposure. So that's actually it. We're not going to go into any more content on social media, because we pretty much did all the how-tos on the social media, but just wanted to let you know that it's a fantastic way to drive people to your sites. Now let's talk about content marketing and specifically articles and videos. Now there's a couple different types of articles and videos in my opinion. I usually talk about them as training videos or traffic videos or articles, right? And what I'll be talking about today is the traffic stuff. In other words, the articles and videos that you put out with the specific intention of bringing people back to your site. And that's a little different than, a 30-minute training video that you might put up on a sales page. And the call to action is a sale, or the call to action is just add value in the middle of a campaign. There's really no call to action to get people back to your site. So that's the distinction that I'm talking about here is traffic articles and videos where you're trying to get people back to your site. And here's the flow. Basically, you give out content, there's a call to action, and that call to action takes people back to some kind of opt-in page. It doesn't necessarily have to be only a squeeze page, but it should be a page that has an opt-in box on it. So you could take people to your blog, but your blog better have an opt-in box on it. You could take people to your main website, but it better have an opt-in box. So it doesn't always have to go to a squeeze page, but every page that you drive people to should have a way for them to opt in, unless there's some reason not to that I've never heard of and right now I can't think of. But make sure this is strategic, and the whole purpose of this is to get people engaged and have them join your community. So give them that opportunity to opt in. So the first thing I'm going to talk about are some tips about articles. So how to write your articles. The first thing is you've got to put a call to action. CTA stands for call to action, kind of, online marketing lingo. You've got to put a call to action in your article, and where it goes is in your bio section, basically. And let me show you this. I've got an article here on a page called selfgrowth.com. And this is an article that I put up in 2008, I believe, how limiting beliefs are created in early childhood. And if you scroll down, here's the bio. Actually, let me zoom in for you. Hopefully you guys can see that a lot better. The bio here, Sean Smith, certified life coach, happily married, father of two, teaches parents how to empower their children so they can grow up believing, etc., etc., etc. And then you've got this link. So it basically says, for more resources to nurture your kids' self-esteem and confidence, go to raisingempoweredkids.com. People click that link, and in this particular case, it takes them to, sorry if I was a little too close, invaded your personal space there. It takes them to a squeeze page. And please don't judge the squeeze page according to all the things that I've been teaching you. This is something that I built in 2008 before all of the WordPress and OptimizePress and all that stuff. But it's still out there, and we typically, or we occasionally get people that will opt right in here. But this is where people are being driven. If they read the article and they like the content and they want more information, they come right here to this page. They can watch a little YouTube video. I don't know why I was so close to the camera. I must have been feeling especially confident about, my nose hairs and the way I looked that day. But that's actually a little uncomfortable. Anyway, but it works. So that's how you could use a bio page in an article to drive people to a website. All right, let's get back to the presentation here. So you got a call to action in your bio section, and the biography section is usually going to be like 150 words or less. It's generally going to be a short call to action section that you want to put in, and you got to include it. If you can't include a biography section with a call to action, then I would say you probably shouldn't put your articles up in this particular location. And I'll tell you where you can put your articles up in a moment. But you definitely need a call to action for it to be strategic, right? You also want to write short articles. especially nowadays, what they're finding is that people tend to like to read 300 to 500 words. This for me is a challenge because if I have somebody's ear, I want to teach them as much as I can, and I don't tend to like leaving questions unanswered. So as I'm writing my articles or I'm doing my videos, like literally as I'm doing the video, sometimes on camera, totally unplanned, I'm thinking of a question that somebody might have, and then I answer the question. But pretty soon, it's easy to do 20, 30-minute videos that way. And in articles, I'm a mess when I sit down and just write an article and I think of all the questions that people might answer or might ask, and pretty soon I got a 1,500 page or 1,500 word article. And so this is actually a real big challenge for me, but you got to understand the psychology that's at play here. This is generally an introduction that somebody is getting of you. And the introductions should be quick. It should be just that. It should be an introduction. Let me give you a little bit of a taste of the information that I have to offer you. And the shorter your articles are, as long as they're well written, right, and it's good content, the shorter your articles are, the more likely people are to actually click through because they know that there's incompletion there. So from a strategy standpoint, it's actually best to have a little bit of incompletion in your articles. Earlier in this series, I talked about the incomplete framework, and that's a really good psychological thing to put into your articles. And this isn't like manipulation or anything like that. You don't want to withhold information from people. But I mean, honestly, what could you teach to completion in 300 to 500 words? I mean, not much, right? And if that's the way that people want to consume the articles, then don't swim upstream. Just give them what they typically want. And that's only like a 1 to 2 page article. Like if you're using Microsoft Word or Pages or something, it's only like 1 to 2 pages. So these aren't very long at all. And it's actually good for you to be able to explain your material in a short amount of real estate. It helps you be more clear and it helps you be a little bit more strategic. With your articles, you definitely, absolutely want to have a catchy title, a short title. When I first started, my personality is such that I always want to be sort of secretive. I've always wanted to be that way. Like when I was getting ready to ask Sybil to marry me, I wasn't going to, nobody knew. I wasn't going to tell anybody. I didn't ask for her dad's hand in marriage, or I didn't tell my mom and dad that I was going to marry her. I'm just not, my personality is not the kind of guy that I want to tell people where I'm going or what I'm doing. I just like to be sort of, unpredictable, right? So when I first started writing articles and creating titles, I used to create titles that were super clever and incredibly confusing, right? So don't be confusing with people. In your titles, just let them know exactly what it is that you're going to tell them. And that's what's going to create, because that's the first thing they're going to look at, and that's what's going to create the intrigue from the beginning, right? So don't do the way I did it in the early stages. And frameworks are the best. Frameworks are great for both the content as well as the titles. When people see things like the top 5 ways that parents can raise their children's self-esteem, they love that. There's something really intriguing to the human mind, to the unconscious mind, about clarity, about these are 5 things you're going to get. That kind of clarity is incredibly attractive. If you were to just write how to raise your children's self-esteem, and then you were to have another article right next to it called the top 5 ways to raise your children's self-esteem, I guarantee you the top 5 ways title will outperform the other one far and away. So put your frameworks in the title as well. And people like bullets. They like tips. They like things that sound like they're going to get some content really simply and easily and quickly. So it's like you're in your title, you're saying, I know you're busy, but I just want to give you these 5 things that are really important for you to know. That's it, just 5. And they love, hearing that kind of clarity. And then finally, I think this is finally, I might have one more bullet here. You want to be keyword rich. And what that means, and I'll talk more about keywords here in another slide, but you want to put the keywords throughout the article and in the titles as much as you can. So just to give you a little bit of context, in our coaching niche, one of the keywords that we are going after, that's kind of the lingo, what keywords are you going after? One of the keywords we're going after is how to be a life coach. And keyword is either a single word or more often than that, it's usually a phrase. So the keyword is how to be a life coach. Or another keyword is life coach training. Another keyword is training, I'm sorry, coaching for coaches. So those are my keywords. We've identified 5 keywords that we really want to go after and compete for. And so every time we put content out, whether it's articles or videos, we want to put those keywords in the content as much as possible because Google and any of the other web crawlers, for the search engines, they go through the written words and they find the words. I don't know how it works, but they find the words. They're called little spiders. They go through and they kind of crawl through the stuff that's posted online and they pull out certain words and there's this, big old kind of formula, and that's how they actually tell you which articles you should read or what pages you should visit or what videos you should watch when you do a Google search. So that's what a keyword is. And for now, I just want you to know that you want to put those keywords in the title, in the descriptions, in the article as much as you can without going overboard, right? Like if every second sentence had coaching for coaches or how to be a life coach, then it would just sound weird and creepy and people would be turned off. And some of the actual search engine formulas would be turned off too because they can tell if you're just trying to basically like spam your keywords into the article just to try to get ranked, right? But you definitely want to use the keywords as appropriate. I do have one more bullet here. In an earlier session of the Full-Time Coach Project, we talked about using your content skeleton, where you have your mile markers, and then you have your steps, and then you have your sub steps, and all that stuff. If you have that filled out, you could take that and you could literally probably write 15 to 50 articles right from your content skeleton. You could do one article on just the mile markers. Then you could do another article on one of the mile markers. You could say, the top 5 ways for, for parents to raise self-esteem is A, B, C, D, and E. And then you can do another article just on A, whatever you put on A. Tell them I'm proud of you, and then explain I'm proud of you. And so you can take that content skeleton and write articles at a high level or really chunked down and have tons of content to push out. That's one of the reasons why I, taught the content skeleton, and I want you to use it because later on when it comes to marketing, you just go back to that thing and you push out articles, you push out videos, and it's a great resource for you to go back and refer to. Once your articles are written, what you want to do is you want to post them out there online. And where to post the articles? One place you can do it is other people's blogs. It's called guest posting or guest blogging, where you will write your article and somebody else will post it on their blog. Now, sometimes people want you to write an article just unique to their people. Sometimes people don't care. They'll just take any article, even an article that maybe you posted on your blog, and they don't care, and they'll just put it on their blog. But that's a really cool way because now anybody who is loyal and engaged in that blog, obviously, is going to be exposed to your article. So that's a cool way, and it's totally free to get your articles seen by leveraging what other people have done to create their tribes and create their audiences and so forth. Another thing you can do with your articles is put them out there on what's called article submission sites. Now, before I give you a few of these, I just want to say there's literally probably thousands, at least hundreds of article submission sites. And I'm not going to say these are the sites that I would suggest you use because it varies. Some sites are going to be specific to certain niches. Some sites are just going to have certain energies that resonate with you or don't resonate with you. Other sites are going to be high market, like marketing sites, really aggressive marketing language and ads all over the place. And other sites are not. They're going to be much more kind of soft sell, maybe no ads, or just a few ads. So this really is something that you have to do a little bit of research on. But I'll give you a few just to take a look at least. These are some of the more popular ones. All of these are .coms. Hubpages.com, Squidoo.com, EasingArticles.com, Selfgrowth.com. The article that I just showed you from my, or the page that I showed you that had my parenting article on it was selfgrowth.com. That's a cool site. Anybody can go on selfgrowth.com, become one of the experts, and just contribute articles. And they have, I mean, like millions of people that go to it every single month. So the idea with this is that these pages have tons of visitors that come every single month, or they keep getting driven back there for, in a number of different ways. And if your article is on there, you never know. They might do a search in there, or sometimes the articles kind of get um, revolved around, and they might showcase certain articles or put them on the front page, and the different sites work differently. But that's the idea, is that you're leveraging these pages that have tons of visitors, tons of traffic already on it. Easing Articles is pretty cool because that's a place that a lot of people who publish e-zines will go to that site because it's branded for e-zines. They'll go to that site and look for articles that match their target market, and they'll take other people's articles and put them in their e-zines a lot of times. So sometimes you'll be able to have an article on some of these pages and people will just contact you out of the blue. I hadn't even thought of this when I was writing these notes, but let's see. I know I've had an article published in a magazine based on one of these sites. Two magazines, actually. Just a few months ago, I had an article published in an online magazine somewhere. It was like Women Over 40 or something like that. But she emails me and she says, "Hey, I just read your article and I would love to put it in my magazine, and I want to include your link and just drive people back to your site." And like, sweet, cool, absolutely. And then this is a few years ago. I had it in an actual physical magazine. Somebody took my article and put it in there. So this is I mentioned this, I think, when I was talking about social media in another session. Don't always do things just by your perspective. Like I personally don't go to these kinds of places to look for articles, but don't discount them just because you don't go. So, because if I would have, then obviously I wouldn't have had some of that exposure. And certain people have emailed me, and I've been on telesummits, and I've been on, people's of teleseminar, just like them interviewing me personally or what have you, because I've got some stuff out there. I've got content out there, and it's crazy. This stuff lives on. I mean, I actually had forgotten about that self-growth article. I did a little search on myself earlier today, and I found that article. It showed up on one of the Google searches that I just did. So when you put it out there on the internet, I mean, it just stays there. And the cool thing is you put it out there, and these websites will do the marketing for you, basically, because they're trying to constantly get people to their page, and that is how they make money. That's how they, that's their whole purpose of being in business. All right, let me pause for a second. I have a question here. Is there a difference between a blog post that you would put on your blog and an article that you would post on one of these sites? Can it be one and the same? Great question. You know what? I think I might answer that question here in the bullets. Let me come back to that question if I don't already answer it. But yeah, that is a really good question. Finally, where to post your articles? Just go where your seekers are. Like I said earlier, do the research. Engage however you can. Maybe you find some forums out there. Maybe you find some fan pages on Facebook where your seekers are. It'd be great if you could find sites like these that are specific to your seeker, right? Like specific to the things that your seeker would be interested in. And I believe those sites are out there for almost, all seekers. So do a little bit of research and find the ones that are going to serve you best, right? Let's see. An important note about posting articles. So here's where I will address your question. What you want to do is with these sites, you've got to see if they accept duplicate content. And what duplicate content is an article that's already posted somewhere else. So some of these sites will not accept duplicate content. What that means is if your article in its entirety as is has already been posted somewhere else, whether it's on your blog or whether it's on another article marketing site, they won't post it. Some of these sites and some of them, generally those are more of the high profile sites. Like I'm pretty sure I heard recently that the Huffington Post, for instance, they will not post anybody's article that wasn't written specifically for the Huffington Post. If they find, I think it's the Huffington Post, don't quote me on that, but if they find out that your article is posted somewhere else exactly as is, they'll take it down. There's also some talk out there that when you post articles in a bunch of different sites and it's the exact same article, that Google and some of the search engines don't like that. But honestly, I've done research on this, and it just depends on where you go and who you're listening to. Some people say post your article everywhere, the most exposure, the exact same article everywhere, the more exposure you get, the better. Some people say be careful because you don't want Google to give you, they used to refer to it as the Google slap. They don't, you don't want Google to stop posting your articles. What I've found is that it's probably a little bit of both, meaning that it's somewhere in between. I don't think it's at either edge of the spectrum. I think it's fine for the most part to take an article, put it on your blog, and then also post it to some of these sites. But just do your search, do your due diligence, because these sites operate differently. So that's the best I can give you because it's not one standard rule across the board. Hopefully that answers your question. And if not, let me know. Just shoot me over another question. Okay, now let's talk about videos. And most of the content pieces of the videos is basically the same as the articles. I mean, it's just a different medium, but the intention is the same. You want to push out content to people and have a call to action to try to get them back on your pages, right? So the call to action, though, the difference is the call to action is in the video and it's in your description. And instead of short articles, you want to write or do short videos. Generally 2 to 5 minutes, somewhere around there. That's a pretty big spread, but it depends on your seeker. When I do traffic videos, I try to make them around 3 minutes, but I don't cut out good stuff just to get it under 3 minutes at the same time. I mean, if somebody's engaged, they're going to watch the video. But again, the same intention is there. Give them a little bit so that they'll hopefully want to get back to your site. And I think all these others are the same. Catchy title, frameworks, top 5, 3 most, keyword rich in your written description, and use your content skeleton. So let me show you what I mean by this. I'll take you to, all right, so this is a video that I have. Some of you may have watched it. If you haven't watched it, please watch it. It's a really good video, and it's funny. Well, you can probably tell already. But the description here, let me zoom in. So underneath the video, you can see the description, and the very first thing that you want to put is a link somewhere. So the first thing that people see on videos in the description is a link. And if they click show more, then there's a longer description here. And this one's actually pretty short. In some of the other videos that I've done recently, we almost script out the entire video and put it in the description. And this is where, similar to your articles, this is where you would put your keywords. And if you can see this section right here, These are the keywords. My specialties are how to be a life coach training, how to get coaching clients, right? So, and then coaching for coaches is up here, and Coach Sean Smith. So those are the other two keywords that we are competing for. So that's an idea of how you would take your keywords and put them in the descriptions and how you would put your call to action in the description. And then if somebody clicks that right there, it'll take them right to my blog. Now, this isn't a squeeze page, but there is an opt-in box up here on the right-hand side. So that's kind of how it all fits together. All right. So hopefully that makes sense with the videos and articles, how to create them. With the videos, what you want to do is, looks like my computer is a little slow here. Hang on. Okay, so with your videos, just put them on YouTube. There's a lot of video posting sites out there. You can play with them if you want, but YouTube, I mean, they just own the video market. I mean, so if you want to look into some other options, then that's great, but I just put everything on YouTube now. I mean, that's where so much traffic is, and YouTube is now, I should have made this in the slide. YouTube is now the #2 search engine on the internet. So more people are in YouTube searching the, in the search box within YouTube than anything else other than Google. And Google owns YouTube. So I think Google is doing pretty well when it comes to ownership of the internet, right? And because Google owns YouTube, that's another reason to have your stuff on YouTube, because Google is so powerful when it comes to search engine, and obviously it's the single most used search engine, that you want to use whatever Google likes, and Google likes YouTube because Google owns YouTube. So just use YouTube as much as you can. You're going to pull a lot of traffic from YouTube, and here's why. I'm sure you've seen this, but when you go to a YouTube page, I mean, on the right-hand side here, you've got all of these suggested videos, right? Now, a lot of those are mine because I typed in Coach Sean Smith coaching. So it's pulling the Coach Sean Smith, and most of those videos are mine. But every time that you do a search in here, it'll give you all of these suggested videos. That's why YouTube is so incredible and so powerful. All right. Next piece here is keywords. I mentioned keywords a little bit with your articles and videos, and it is an important piece of content marketing because you want to be strategic with the keywords that you are going after. And there's three main ways that I would say to choose your keywords. Number one, obviously take it from your core message. I mean, if you are teaching people how to get over grief, then that's your core message. Your keywords should be like how to get over grief, right? So I think that's pretty self-explanatory. You want to pull from your core message because you don't want to be marketing with keywords that are not congruent with your message. If you do, actually, a lot of times Google won't approve ads, Facebook won't approve some of your ads, or people will get irritated. If they click on something that says, you're going to learn how to, my son saw a video last night. He was looking at volcanoes because he's doing some volcano research. And one of the videos that Google put up was how to make a fire with only an orange. And of course, that was pretty intriguing to both of us, so we click on it. And sure enough, it told us it delivered on its promise. But if it said how to make a fire with only an orange and we click through and it was on something different, then we would be irritated, right? So you just don't obviously want to irritate the people that are clicking through because they're probably not going to see you as somebody who tells the truth or delivers, and they probably won't want more of your message, right? So make sure that you're congruent with what you're telling people you're going to give them and then what you give them. Another thing you can do is take a look at what other similar coaches, speakers, trainers, just other experts are using. What are some of their keywords? And there is actually a way on the internet. You can go to somebody's webpage and find out their keywords. It's really simple. If I would have done a little bit of research before, I could have shown you how. But like you can figure out what the keywords are, there's something on websites called meta tags, and stuff like that. And you can actually find out, you can go to somebody's website and find out what keywords they have built into their website. It's kind of cool. I don't think everybody needs to go that deep, but it's kind of neat if you want to do a little bit of research. And sometimes you're going to want to use the same keywords that other people are using, and sometimes you're going to want to be definitely distinct. Now, you're always going to want to be distinct in terms of who you are and your messaging and your personality, but with keywords, sometimes it makes sense to use the same keywords that other people are using. For instance, I think here's where it would make sense. If you're in a really tight niche, you are teaching people how to, make what, like, some kind of knot. I know there's a bunch of different knots, right? Like, let's say you're going to teach somebody to tie a certain kind of knot specifically for sailboats in the harbor, right? That's probably a pretty tight niche. I would say there's not too many people out there competing for that, but I'm sure there's somebody out there teaching that. And if you have a really specific niche like that, and there's not a whole lot of competition, then that's probably a good time to just use the same keywords, because when somebody goes into that niche, there's not a whole lot of people that are going to distract them anyway. So go ahead and use what's working. But if you're just going to be like a life coach or you want to be a motivational speaker, there's so many people competing on keywords like motivational speaker or life coach that you, especially starting out, you're going to be just, a tiny blip on the radar screen, and it's not going to really be worth your effort to compete with these giants on keywords that just have too much competition. So in that case, that's where I would say you'd want to be distinct, and you'd want to create a little bit more specificity with the keywords that you are using. And then finally, you can do some keyword research. And I know we went over this in one of our mentorship calls, I believe, one time. I want to show you this. This is actually really cool. You can get addicted to this stuff, or at least I can get addicted to this stuff. So Google has, first of all, it has something called AdWords. And within AdWords, it has this keyword research tool. And if you just type in keyword tool or keyword research tool, it'll take you there. You got to have a Google account to get in here. But if you don't have a Google account, then I don't know where you've been hiding, because they own the internet. So I suggest you just go with it and just break down and get one. So this keyword tool is really cool. What you do is you type something in, and it will tell you how many searches this particular phrase has on it. So this phrase right here, I typed in coach marketing. And if you type in coach marketing, then what it does is it gives you all these related keywords that Google says is related to that search term. Now, here's the actual search term, coach marketing. And what it tells you is what's the competition, meaning how many other people are competing for and paying for those keywords, coach marketing. And then it also tells you how many people are searching for that. This is 9,900. How many people are searching for that exact keyword phrase every single month? So what that means is globally, almost 10,000 people are typing in the term coach marketing. Now, I don't think they're 9,900 people are exact. Actually, you know what? I can check this right here. Up on the left-hand side right here, if you click on phrase, it'll give you the exact number, I believe. Or maybe you got to click on exact. Let's check this for a second. Maybe that's right. Exact. All right, so maybe that is right. 9,900 people. There's one way that you can get like super specific and make sure that this is exactly what people are doing. And I think it's over here. So it looks like no matter which one of these that I type in, it was giving me the same numbers. It was refreshing and giving me the same numbers. So anyway, 9,900 searches every single month for coach marketing. So that tells me if a lot of people are searching for that term, and then if a lot of other people are competing for that term. If you scroll down a little bit, what it'll give you is all these suggestions that are possibly similar to the phrase that you typed in. That's where this is really cool. And all these suggestions, it tells you what the competition is, it tells you the global searches. So 37 million people type in coach coach. I don't know I don't know why they're typing in coach coach. Some of this is just funny. If you look at some of the searches that people are typing in, it's just fascinating. Like this one. People are typing in www space internet marketing. A million people are typing in that phrase or some version close enough to that phrase. Marketing and internet. Now, I don't know if that's Spanish. EN is Spanish, but marketing and internet are not Spanish. So, or maybe internet is, I don't know. But it's some of this is just fascinating to see. Some of it's funny, some of it's fascinating to see the way people search online. But anyway, this is a great tool for you to be able to type something in and see if you're going to have a lot of traffic on it. So let's say I'm going to do how to be a life coach search. Oh, I got to type this thing in every time, I guess. The little CAPTCHA. Half the time I can't even read it myself. So how to be a life coach. How to be a life coach exactly only has 880 monthly searches. But for us, it's exactly what we're talking about. So the congruency is important enough that we are going ahead and are using it anyway. And then there's different versions of that people are typing in, be a life coach and stuff like that. So anyway, that's how Google search works. The search keyword rather, the keyword tool works. And like I said, you could spend hours on this, but it's really powerful research if you do that. Sorry here. Okay, that's the keyword tool. Let me see if I'm forgetting anything on this. I think that's and you can go back here. All of these are live links. Like you can click on any of these live links and it'll just do a search specifically on that one and then give you other searches that are related to each one of these different things. And it's just a good tool. It's a great tool to find out the actual behavior online of what's going on. All right, now let's talk about search engine optimization. SEO is the way it's referred to usually. And I am going to give you a super high level view of this. This is a 30,000 foot view of what search engine optimization is because it's very extensive. You're talking about all kinds of algorithms and formulas and a lot of it, quite frankly, is kind of secretive. And there are companies out there that charge a lot of money for SEO. And the problem with that is a lot of the people that pay a lot of money, they don't even know what these companies are doing because it's not, readily understood what search engine optimization is. So it's kind of secretive. And I think the SEO companies love that so that people keep paying them for things they don't understand. So I am not at all going to attempt to explain what goes on, behind closed doors in the search engine optimization journey, I guess. But I will just explain you what it is. So basically, what you're doing is you're optimizing the chances that people are going to find you when they search online. That's what search engine optimization means. And the way you do that is you put keywords on your websites in various strategic places, such as the titles of your pages, the descriptions, the different tags. There's like meta tags and title tags and all the components of the website. Inside the website, there are places to strategically put some of these keywords. And when you put keywords on your website, then eventually it's easier for Google, or it's more attractive for Google to put your page higher and higher in the search engine. When somebody types something in, that's one of the things that Google uses to make their suggestions to you. But you got to understand, this takes a while. Search engine optimization might take months, it might take years for people to get there. And so I don't want you to think this is like a quick strategy. But it's a good strategy because if you can get your website suggested when people do a Google search on the left side of the page, that's where people generally go to first. So it's great traffic when you can do it, and it takes a while. Just to give you a sense of how powerful those Google searches are and why it's important for you to be seen, there's a study that said 96% of the people that do a Google search never make it to page 2. And I'll tell you what, I am one of those 96%. I don't know when the last time was that I went to page 2 unless I was specifically looking for myself. That's probably the only time that I would go to page 2 because I wanted to see if anybody was saying stuff about me that I might need to know about, right? And a lot of times, those won't be on the front page. You got to dig a little bit. But most people will just look at the top few searches or top few results. And most people, I don't know about most people, but a lot of people won't even scroll down. They'll only look at what's on their screen, what's called above the fold. They'll only look at what's above the fold. They won't even scroll down. And if they don't find what they're looking for, they won't try any harder, right? So you want to do what you can to have your sites be found, obviously. And this is a way to do it, and that's as deep as I want to go. All right, now let's talk a little bit about paid traffic. And paid traffic, two of the best ways to do it is through Facebook and Google. And what this traffic is usually called is pay per click, or PPC. And what that means is you're only paying when somebody clicks through to your website. So let me show you again. If you go to a Google search, let's do a Google search for how to get a date. Oh, this is okay. I'll just say this is really interesting. Nothing is even coming up on the right-hand side. That's really strange because I know that's a very competitive keyword. All right. Well, let's do something else. How to get dates. All right. Let's do something else. Coaching. Let's try coaching marketing. There you go. I think that there's definitely ads. They just weren't showing up for whatever reason. But on the right-hand side over here are the paid advertisements. And that's, you can see ads up here. If I click on any of these links, it's going to cost whoever is the owner of the ad some amount. And it might be 10 cents or it might be $10, right? Some like real estate investing is probably one of the most expensive keywords, just my guess, because people that are searching for real estate investing generally have money to invest, obviously. They're really high value prospects. So the higher the value of the prospect is, the more that these people are going to pay. And up here, if you can see it, Rich Dad Financial Coach, he's paying a lot of money per click because he's competing on a very expensive keyword and he's at the very top. So usually, Google, now this isn't exact, but Google is going to put the people who are paying more up at the top because people who are up at the top are going to get more clicks, and that means Google makes more money. I mean, it's pretty simple, right? So your keyword is going to determine how much you're actually paying per click, and it's going to be, different for different markets and so forth. But that's what the keyword is. And then if we go to facebook.com, Facebook has all these ads on the right-hand side too. This is the exact same as Google advertising. Over here on the right side, all of these people are paying if you click through. So I just want you to understand what it is that we're talking about. And then I'll give you a little bit more information here of suggestions. So pay per click is something that you're going to pay. What's really important is that you set limits. That's one of the good things about this is you can say, all right, I want to pay, I'm willing to pay 50 cents per person that comes to my website, but I don't want to pay more than $10 per day. And so you can limit your budget to like 300 bucks a month or something like that and be cautious. And I think that's really important, especially early on, is to set limits and be cautious because you might have an ad that doesn't convert very well and you end up paying, well, my worst experience is we ended up paying $1,000 for some Facebook advertising, and we just didn't do the tracking and testing like we could have or should have. And we ended up paying $1,000 and ended up only getting like 30 leads. Now, I say only because 30 leads over the course of time might be worth $1,000. So you don't just want to take it at face value, but it certainly didn't perform the way we wanted it to perform. So you want to be able to put limits on these and be cautious at first. And then you've got to track your conversions. You got to test all the variables. Some of the variables you can test are the headlines, the actual copy of the ad, the images that you put into the ad. Images are so big nowadays. You'll see a lot of people being aggressive and clever with their images, and everything is being tested. So you want to test the things that are in your ad as well as the things that are in your actual page that people go to after they click through the ad. So you might have the exact same ad, but you're changing variables on the website. Or you might have the exact same website, but you're changing variables in the ad. Or you're doing a little bit of both. Don't do it at the same time. You always want to just test one variable. But that's what you need to do if you want to optimize your money. And obviously, I think it's important because you're paying for this traffic. Another thing is you've got to target people. It's about quality, not quantity. A lot of people get excited that they're going to have 1,000 people go to their website in a single day. But if those 1,000 people aren't really interested in what you have, or out of those 1,000, you really only have 10 to 20 quality prospects, then you're paying for traffic that's basically useless. So I would rather you have less people, and you're going to end up paying less too. Less people, but more qualified traffic. And generally, the more qualified you go, the less you're actually going to pay for each of the ads as well. Now, Facebook has by far the best targeting. And basically the reason is Facebook owns you. They own all of us. When we put up our profile and we create a Facebook account, they have everything on us. Facebook is, I heard it recently that Facebook is the most powerful information collecting entity out there because they just have everything, and they have our posts, they have our personalities, they have our patterns. They have to an extent, they have our psychological patterns. I mean, it's kind of scary to an extent, but you want to use it to your benefit when it comes to ads. You can target people's interests, you can target people's location, you can target their age, you can this is a cool one. You can target people according to whether they are fans of others. So you can create an ad that that says, I want this ad to only be seen by fans of Tony Robbins or fans of Jack Canfield or whatever. And that's pretty cool because if you have people who are attracting your seeker, then you can attract them. You can attract your seeker by going after, by leveraging basically the work that these other big name people have already done. So you can go after specific fans of different people. I think that is really, really powerful. I know it is. I don't think it is. And Facebook works like Google, where you have, you can set budgets and stuff like that. And the cool thing about Facebook is there's so much traffic on it, and people stay on Facebook for so long that, I mean, they just go like from one ad to the next. Well, let me take that back. People are not, here's the negative thing about Facebook is that people are not on Facebook to sift through ads. But since people are on Facebook so long, they tend to see the ads. And if something is always speaking to them, I mean, those ads like follow them. If something's always speaking to them, eventually they tend to go there. Whereas Google, people are searching for information on Google. So the traffic that comes from Google, a lot of times it's actually higher quality traffic because these are people who are searching for information. People don't go on Facebook to search for information, but the information interrupts them, basically, right? So that's just some of the um, variables, to keep in mind. Again, everything should be tested and tracked. Now, here is one of the newer things. Well, I don't know how new it is, but it's relatively new in the marketing world, and it's called retargeting, and it's a really cool way to market to people. And basically, what it is you create an ad, a banner ad, which just means it's an ad with a banner or some kind of image on it. You create a banner ad that follows people around after they've been to your site. So they come to your site, their IP address, their computer gets cookied. That's what it's called on the internet when, like, I don't know how deep I want to go into this, but there's things called cookies. So you'll go to a certain site and your computer will get cookied. And later on, if you do another like search, a lot of times they'll give you related searches based on websites that you've been on, from the cookies. When you go to sites that require name and info, um, and you have a cookie attached, then the next time you go to that site later on, you don't have to put your name and info because it's already cookied in, basically. So that's kind of it has become a verb in the internet marketing language. You're cookied in there. And so that's just technically what it's called, but basically they latch onto the person's computer and then they follow people around. And this was really weird. I remember I first noticed this about a year ago. I was looking into a guy for marketing purposes, and then I did a search either later that day or a couple days later, and I was looking for a funny joke. And I was on like jokes.com or something like that, and I see this guy's ad. And I was blown away. I'm like, why in the world? I was so intrigued. I was going, why in the world is this guy marketing on jokes.com? Like, that just made no sense whatsoever. And then about 9 months later, I learned about retargeting, and then it hit me. That's what happened. I was on jokes.com, and he was just following me. So here's the way it looks. The way it looks, actually, I just got a little message that said I was about to cancel the webinar. I'm still on, right? Can you guys raise your hand just to make sure that this webinar is still going on? Okay, cool. I got a message there that kind of scared me. All right, so let me give you an example. I was doing a little bit of research right here. I was doing a little bit of research recently on joint ventures, and this is a website called Bright Hub. I've never been on this website, and it is, like it's kind of one of those article marketing websites. And here's this guy over here, Frank Kern. And most people in internet marketing that have been around internet marketing for a while know Frank Kern. He's one of the giants of internet marketing. And he's got this ad for this Stealth Seminar company. Actually, Stealth Seminar was one of the Facebook ads a few moments ago that you might have seen. So this is a retargeted ad. If you go on this website, you could go on the exact same article. You won't see this. You will see an ad, unless you've been on Stealth Seminar maybe, coincidentally. But you will see an ad. Actually, this might be really cool. Let's do this. All right. I am going to copy and paste this URL into the chat down here. Let's see if I can do this. All right, so I just sent that URL to everybody. And in your dashboard, you should be able, in the chat section, you should be able to click directly onto that URL, hopefully. Yep. And just see what comes up. I just clicked on it. Let's see if I'll get the same Stealth Seminar. Anyway, If you click on it, I'm just curious to see what comes up. Okay, so here's a Sheraton ad. So apparently, I've been on a Sheraton website recently, and they're following me because this website. What happens is this website up in this top right-hand corner of this page, they've got coded in retargeting. And so this ad is going to be different according to who gets on the page. Whereas other traditional ads, it's the same ad all the time, no matter who goes to the site. So anyway, maybe in the Q&A session, I'd be curious to see what came up for you when you clicked on that page. But that's how retargeting works. So that's a cool way to follow people. Now you have to make sure that your websites are worthy of investing into. This is it's a pay-per-click campaign, so you're going to pay per click. I'm pretty sure it's pay-per-click. They might have other options to actually do it, but this is just one of the cool ways that you can basically follow people around. But you got to make sure that your website converts before you're going to go and spend money on it. All right. Okay, let's go back to the slide. Okay, so I have a question here. Doug says, when I checked into the retargeting, I got the sense that you had to have 500 distinct hits before it will actually kick in on Google. Do you have any information on this? No, I don't. I haven't heard about any sort of parameters like that, and I haven't put this into play yet, but I absolutely will, because what I'm hearing is that retargeting is the best ROI on your money. And a lot of people are saying retargeting is actually better than the initial ad, because when people see you over and over again, then they just get more and more intrigued, and it's like, man, this guy won't leave me alone. And you can be pretty clever too. I saw a retargeted ad for a guy, and it said, hey, I know you recently watched one of my videos. How about this? And it was like, wow, I did just watch one of your videos. That's pretty creepy, but cool at the same time, right? It was like he was watching me, and he wrote this ad specifically for people that had been on a certain website that had one of his videos. And it was just really, really cool. So it's a powerful technology out there, but it's a little bit more advanced, so don't do it right away. But when you get it, when you get your websites to where they are like you can turn a profit on the ads, then this is something that I would suggest you look into. All right, really cool stuff. All right, the last piece that I'm going to talk about today is joint ventures and affiliates. This is really important because this is what so many people on the internet are doing these days. You've probably seen it or heard about it all the time. And basically what a joint venture and affiliates is it's when two or more people collaborate to create a product or a program or something together, or they just promote each other. Now, typically, joint ventures or JVs are usually a little bit more involved and they participate a little bit more, like maybe they actually interview you or they do an event with you or you create the content with them. That's usually what a traditional joint venture is. And an affiliate generally is somebody who just promotes your product. But in today's world, it's kind of interchangeable, joint ventures and affiliates. So don't get too caught up on what's a JV and what's an affiliate. They basically are interchangeable, the way that most people use them. And so the way I use them is they're going to be interchangeable. So here's the way they work. They work basically one of two different ways. One way is that each person just simply promotes the other, and that's it. There's no money that exchanges hands. It's, hey, I'll promote your stuff to my crowd, you promote my stuff to your crowd. And usually that's going to happen when people have similar crowds or they're just really good friends, right? So if I have an email list of 10,000 people and you have an email list of 200 people, unless I really like you or I just really want your stuff to be promoted to my people or vice versa, I'm probably not going to just do a promotion like that one way or the other, because you're getting your stuff to 10,000 folks, I'm getting mine to 200, right? So usually there's got to be some level of equality there. It doesn't always have to be email list, but there's generally got to be some kind of equal trade, right? The other way that it probably usually works more is that the JV or the affiliate just gets a commission for any sales they bring. So basically JVs and affiliates are commission-only salespeople, right? But they generally do it online. And generally, the way it works for products, like these are just information products that people are going to buy, and somebody is going to either deliver it to them digitally or send the physical copy to their house. This is a quick transaction. They pay for something and get it delivered, and then the transaction's done. Usually, the standard in the industry is 50-50 split. So if I sell something for $1,000 to your crowd, and whoever buys it, you're going to get $500 for each one of those $1,000 sales, right? That's the way the commission split usually is on a product. Now, for other things, there really isn't any standard 50-50, 60-40, 90-10 split, because it just depends. So when you're going to sell seminars, or you're going to sell coaching programs, or you're going to sell a group coaching like 7-month program, usually when the person's time is more involved, then the commission split is going to be less. So if I'm going to sell some $5,000 coaching program to your list, I am not going to give you $2,500 of that, because when they get in, I am still coaching them for 6 months or 4 months. And if your normal price is $5,000, then you don't want to sell a coaching program for $2,500 and cut your price in half because somebody else got the deal for you. So these are the things that you got to take into consideration. Now, everything goes as long as it's intentional and there's a strategy behind it, right? So maybe there is a reason to split a coaching program if there's a back-end campaign on it. Or maybe there is a reason in the seminar world, like if your seminar ticket costs $500, there are people that give 100% commission to their seminars because they know that whoever comes into their seminar, they know the dollar per person or dollar per prospect. So for every person that comes into their seminar, if they on average are going to make $2,000 per person, and the seminar ticket costs $500, then yeah, I'd be happy to give the entire 100% commission to somebody, because I know on average I'm going to profit $1,500 anyway. And I'm going to be a lot more attractive to people if I'm giving everything back to them, right? So sometimes there are definite reasons to move your commission up or down just based on the strategy, based on the promotion, just based on how well you know the person and so forth, right? But those are just sort of standards, or at least with the product one. That's a pretty general standard, is a 50-50 split. Now, why is it good to have JVs and affiliates? The reason it's good is because you have borrowed trust from that JV and affiliate. They have a connection with their crowd, and so when they introduce you, all of the trust that they have in this other person basically gets transferred to you. And because of that, it's the highest quality traffic that you can get. And that's because it's a referral. I mean, referrals are the best form of traffic, in business. I don't know that will ever change. And that's what this basically is. It says, hey, I know this guy, he's doing some cool work, check him out. That's in essence what joint ventures and affiliates are doing. And so it's a great way to get people in. It's also a great way to build your community. One of the reasons to do joint ventures is not so much to make money, but to get more people into your funnel, into your crowd, right? And you can get a lot of people quickly. To date, I haven't done a ton of these, but to date, I think we put like 300 people onto our list in just a couple days because, this other lady had a good connection with her crowd and she referred them to me, and a bunch of people signed up and they joined our list. So you can get people into your community really quickly. So it's a great list building tool. And then finally, it's just about the spirit of collaboration instead of competition. And I think in today's world, that's just where we're moving toward, more so than competing with each other. That's why it's good to have JVs. Now, why is it good to actually be a JV or affiliate? Because I would suggest you all, regardless of what size your list is or what you've done, I would suggest you all sign up for people's JV and affiliate programs. And here's why. Number one, if you do have a list of people, it's a pretty good source of income, right? You might send out an email to somebody, and it doesn't take you any time because the person who's promoting, they write all the emails. It's just a matter of you basically copying and pasting, maybe editing a little bit, and sending it out to your list or tweeting it out to your followers or posting on Facebook, right? So it's really easy. And then if people come in, the other person does the selling, the other person does the delivery and all that, and you just get easy money. I mean, you don't have to manage anything. So it's a good source of income. The bigger your list is, obviously, the higher the dollar amounts are. It's also a great way to build your network connection with these other experts, right? And your net worth is equal to your network, as they say. So the more networked you are, the better. You can also get really cool prizes in joint venture or affiliate promotions, especially. I've won an iPad, which was cool, that my kids immediately took and have since broken. But I've let that go. I got event tickets to a guy's Brendan Burchard's events all year long, VIP tickets to all of his events the entire year, which is worth a lot of money. And VIP tickets means that I met a lot of really high caliber people, and that's because I sent out a total of like six emails for him, right? I haven't won or given away any cars, but that's what a lot of the big guys that do these huge launches are giving away. They're giving away, like I've seen Porsches being given away, $100,000 cash, Super Bowl tickets, cruises. I mean, 7-day all expense paid trips. At the higher levels, this is a pretty competitive sort of mini industry, and there's a lot of money, and there's just a lot of activity going on. But it's really cool. So I would suggest you do this so that you can learn the game and you can just kind of see what works and be on the other side of the fence. And eventually, you don't necessarily have to copy the way it's done by everybody, but just learn it and take what works for you and leave what doesn't. But I think it would be a really good thing for everybody to do just to understand what's going on, right? Now, some of the most common types of joint ventures and affiliate campaigns. There's a bunch of different ways you can do this. A true or traditional joint venture, kind of as I mentioned earlier, is where people will create a product together and then they each sell it separately. And the way that the commission is split can vary. So sometimes, if I do a product with you, we might just agree that we're going to go our separate ways and sell it and keep whatever we sell. That's how I personally would do it. But sometimes people might create an agreement where, hey, if I did this product with you and you go out and sell it, then I get some of that because it's my product too. So sometimes that's the way that the deal is made, that the people split the revenue no matter who sells the product. That takes a little bit more tracking. That's going to take more trust. And so I would rather just, let's split our separate ways, sell the heck out of it and keep everything, and I'll do the same. But you can do it either way. Another thing you can do is what's called an email solo, and that's where like I would send an email out to my list, and the only thing I'm talking about in that list is you, if I'm your affiliate, right? And then people will click through, I'll have the squeeze page and what have you, and there will be my own affiliate link. So when they click through the link, there's a cookie, like I explained earlier, and that's how these people are actually tracked. So if they go and they buy something, I'll get a message that says, somebody just bought and so owes you $500 or something like that. Another thing you can do is a teleseminar or webinar. Teleseminar is, maybe somebody would just interview you for your crowd, or maybe they'll just invite their crowd to a teleseminar that you do. Webinar is basically, I mean, that's what this is here. It's basically a teleseminar with video, with screen capabilities, and you can do a slide presentation. Webinars, I think they have the most bang for the buck right now on the internet. Just a lot of people it's relatively newer technology. It's newer than teleseminars, so it's a little bit more hip, I guess, than teleseminars. You've got people right in front of the computer, which means if they're on the computer, then they can click links and stuff like that, and they can be a little bit more engaged. Whereas a lot of people are listening to teleseminars in their car. which is a good and bad thing. So more people might listen to the teleseminars, but they don't have the ability to take action because they're not in front of their computer. But these, either one works. And so you might do a presentation for one specific person, or you might do a presentation where 5 different people or 10 different people are all emailing to the exact same presentation. Another thing you can do is a group book. I'm sure all of you have seen this. Maybe some of you have done this, where everybody contributes a chapter in the book, and then everybody gets the book and sells it, right? And you get sort of borrowed expertise status, especially when somebody like Brian Tracy or Jack Canfield is one of the other authors of the book. And one of the things that's happening nowadays that's basically the exact same concept, but in teleseminar form, is usually what's referred to as a telesummit. That's where a bunch of people do a series of teleseminars. So I might have like 18 different people on different days or different times of the day doing a teleseminar, and people will register to hear all 18 of them, right? So it's like a teleseminar version of going to a 3 or 4 day speaking event live where they've got different speakers, and everybody speaks for an hour and a half or whatever. So Telesummit is another really good way to build your list and to create connection with people and to make a little bit of money off of it as well. You can do a traditional launch campaign. Many of you, I would imagine, have seen these where everybody is mailing at a specific time because there's a time urgency here. So somebody will say, I am opening my product between this day and this day for sale, and then everybody's mailing during those days. That's a time-specific launch campaign. And that's how a lot of people become New York Times bestsellers or Amazon.com bestsellers, and just create a big, windfall of cash and prospects into their business. It's like a little volcano of traffic, right? The other typical term in the internet marketing world is called evergreen, where there isn't any kind of time urgency. People can go to the website and watch the videos at any time. It's not like, you've got to be here September 5th is when I'm going to sell my product, right? It can be just at any time. And there's, give and take for both of those. And then finally, there's actually a site. Whoops, sorry. There's a site called ClickBank, and there's more than just this one site, but this is the biggest one. This is like a matching site. So if you have a product and you want people to sell your product, you can go there and find affiliates. Or if you want to sell somebody else's product, you can go there and find people whose products you can sign up for and sell to your crowd. And there's no reason why any of us couldn't go to ClickBank right now or sign up for anybody's email, affiliate program and just start promoting them. We could just go to Facebook right now and say, this is really good stuff. Put in your affiliate link, and anybody that clicks through could and ends up buying, you'll get paid. I mean, so that's how simple being an affiliate could be, if that's something that that intrigues you. So those are the most common types that I know of joint ventures and affiliates. The best ways to get joint ventures and affiliates, this is you finding other people to help you sell your product and program. Number one, get to know them. Get to know them offline. Go to their seminars, especially if you're talking about big name people. Go to seminars or just meet the people in the crowd. Obviously, that's where a lot of high caliber people show up. They have a lot of seminars nowadays where the whole purpose of the seminar is joint ventures. And the whole point is to go there and cut a bunch of deals with a bunch of people in the crowd. So get to know them. Get to know them offline. Get to know them online. Maybe you connect with them on Twitter and you send them messages every now and then, or you retweet their stuff, right? Or you repost their things on Facebook and just engage with them online. And that's one way to build a relationship. What's really important when you're wanting to attract joint ventures and affiliates is add value to people first. The more you add value to people, the more that they will want to add value back. There's this reciprocal energy that most people have. So add value to them, and then when it's time, you can ask them to promote your stuff. Don't just go out and spam people and say, hey, you should be an affiliate for this product because it's the coolest product and I'll get paid more. That's kind of the way that people take it. That's the way I take it when people just send me like a group email, some template email that says, hey, sign up to be an affiliate. Even if it's my friends, I won't do that if that's the way they approach me. So you want to add value to them first. Obviously, sell their stuff. Listen, people know where their stuff is being sold. They should. And if they have affiliates that are really selling a lot of their things, you will be noticed, right? So as you sell more of their stuff, there's going to be a connection that is created. And at some point in time, maybe that connection becomes reciprocal. And then the last thing is ask. I mean, obviously there's no way to get joint ventures and affiliates unless you ask. And you'd be surprised at how, why people decide to promote other people's stuff. A lot of times it's just because they like you or they like your cause. You don't even have to have this gigantic list or this gigantic platform, or they don't even have to make a whole lot of money. Actually, the money that they're going to make quite often is said to be one of the least important factors in a short list, right, of reasons that people decide to promote other people's stuff. It's not just the money that they're going to make. And another thing as I'm talking about this is don't be emotionally attached to people selling your stuff either. It's totally fine if you just give value, but they don't return the favor. You got to give people that leeway. That's totally fine. The more that you are emotionally attached to them selling your stuff, then the more difficult it's going to be, the more disappointed you're going to get, and the easier it's going to be to just stop doing this. Like, nobody wants to sell my stuff. So a lot of this is just an energetic thing. All right, next piece here. When searching for JVs and affiliate partnerships, what you want to do is look for people that you know, like, and trust. If you know them and you like them and trust them, then you can, with integrity, promote them. I think that's a really important piece because you've got an obligation to your crowd. A next thing is to look for complementary products and services that your seeker would ideally want or need. I think that makes sense. So if you have a program on a particular thing and there's a complementary product out there, sell that product. Or reach out to other people who sell a complementary product to yours and see if they'd want to be affiliates for you. And finally, this might be counterintuitive, but find people who are selling the exact same thing that you are. This is, most people wouldn't do that. They wouldn't intuitively do that, at least. But here's the thing. If you have a list of people, there's going to be non-buyers on your list. And if you promote somebody else's product that's selling the exact same thing to you, it's possible that some of your non-buyers will just resonate with the other person anyway, more than you, and they'll buy their stuff, but they won't buy your stuff. And if they're going to buy their stuff anyway, you might as well get paid for it. So that's the thinking out there by a lot of people, especially the abundant conscious people. They don't have a problem promoting people that have similar products. And so don't rule that out from a space of competition. And here's my philosophy on joint ventures and affiliates. Number one, be generous with your commissions. I mean, it's basically found money. These are people that you haven't had to pay to get. You haven't had to go out and get. So be generous with those commissions. Obviously, the more generous you are, the more likely it is that people will promote you. The second thing I would say is be careful. You don't go out there and promote people that are shady. That's why on the last slide I said you better know them and you better trust them. Be careful with who you promote. And also be careful, but to a little bit less extent, of who promotes you. You definitely don't want people that are promoting you that are completely against your values and are just kind of sending the wrong message. So just be aware of that stuff. And finally, be clear about the details of any of the deals that you're doing. I like to say get a receipt. Make sure it's in writing, whether it's an email or an actual contract that's going back and forth. Just be really super clear. It's so easy for misunderstandings to happen with deals like this, and that could ruin a relationship. And finally, to set up your affiliate program, I talked about cookies and some of the automated things that is a part of the affiliate marketing game. To set up a sophisticated affiliate marketing program where people just automatically, get their links, they sign up for your affiliate program, and they get their links, and they get emails, automatically sent to them, and they get copy that they can use and all that stuff. If you want programs that are all set up like that, then you want to go probably with one of those two that I suggested before, Office Autopilot or One Shopping Cart. There are other programs out there. I would personally recommend these two for people just starting out. Remember, One Shopping Cart's quite a bit less expensive than Office Autopilot, but Office Autopilot is way better when it comes to affiliate marketing and just what you can do when people are in your system. So there's give and take both ways with those two programs. Like I said, there's a bunch of different programs you can look at, but that's where I would send you, one of those two places. Whew! All right. That's it. That's all I got for part 2. And if you have any questions, you can raise your hand or you can type in your question right now, and I'm happy to answer anything. Man, we went through a lot of stuff. And I don't want you to think you've got to implement all these things. Again, I wanted to give you a high-level conceptual view. Nobody is going to be implementing all of these things, right? At least not anytime soon, myself included. But different people might utilize different strategies that we went over. So I want you to do your due diligence, find out what works for you, and hopefully I've given you a pretty good buffet with some explanations of what these things are and what you might be looking into. So with that, does anybody have a question or comment on the webinar today? If you do have a question or comment, raise your hand or just type your question in the question box. All right, well, I'm going to take that to mean that we're all complete for now. I know it was a bunch of information, and hopefully you don't overwhelm yourself by trying to input all of this stuff. Just understand it, understand a little bit of it, and decide what the best thing is for you. All right, let's see. A question came in. Janet, you said this website you have up, is it only here? I'm not sure what website you're talking about. Let me unmute you, Janet. Okay. Maybe I should have requested permission first, but but you're now unmuted, Janet. What website are you talking about? Oh, BrightHub. Got it. So yeah, I can hear you. You said, is it only up here, meaning in the chat? Yeah. It's only here. I didn't put it anywhere else. And that was just an example if you wanted to go on there and see what ad came up for you. That's it. Just kind of a neat little thing. Oh, got it. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Cool. Well, thanks, Jan. It's good to hear your voice. All right. You're welcome. Talk to you soon. All right. Cool. It doesn't look like I have any other questions. A couple comments, and I appreciate your comments about the content. And if you do have questions, obviously you can engage on Facebook, on our Full-Time Coach Project page, or just email us, or give us a call, or just find us somehow, and I'll answer whatever questions I can. So with that, everybody, we'll close out content call number 15, and we'll be talking to you really soon. Take care.